You are sitting at your kitchen table. It's 11:30 p.m. on a Tuesday. The house is quiet, the kind of quiet that feels heavy, not peaceful. You have your banking app open on your phone, you have a calculator open on your laptop, and you are doing the math. Again. You run the numbers for the third time, hoping that maybe you missed a zero or maybe you forgot to carry a one. You didn't. The numbers are correct. You look at your savings account. It's the most money you've ever had in your life. You have been disciplined. You have been good. You followed the script. And then you look at the Zillow listing in the other tab. The house you wanted 2 years ago. The one that was a stretch, but maybe possible if you really buckled down. It's back on the market. But now it is listing for $150,000 more than it was 24 months ago. Pause. Let that sink in. You didn't save $150,000 in the last 2 years. You couldn't. Even if you ate nothing but rice and stared at a blank wall for entertainment, the math is physically impossible on your salary. You worked harder this year than you have ever worked in your life. You took the extra shifts. You skipped the vacation. You got the promotion. You got the 4% raise. And the house sat there. It didn't work overtime. It didn't stress about deadlines. It didn't sacrifice a single weekend. Yet that pile of wood and drywall earned 5 times more this year than you did. You feel a tightness in your chest. It's a specific cocktail of emotions: panic, exhaustion, and a deep, burning resentment. You feel like you are running on a treadmill that someone else is controlling, and they just cranked the speed up to a sprint while you were already winded. This is the moment the wound opens, because there is a voice in the back of your head. It's a familiar voice. Maybe it's your father's voice. Maybe it's the collective voice of every teacher, guidance counselor, and boss you've ever had. And the voice is telling you the rules of the game. Work hard. Save your money. Live within your means. Be loyal to your employer. Good things come to those who wait. You are doing all of those things. You are following the map exactly as it was drawn for you. But the map leads off a cliff. This is the generational lie your father told you about money. He didn't lie to you on purpose. He didn't sit you down and decide to sabotage your future. He loved you. He told you the truth as he knew it. He gave you the map that worked for him in 1985. But you are not in 1985. You are in a new economic reality where the rules have not just changed, they have inverted. Think about the advice: save your money. It sounds moral. It sounds responsible. Your father put money in a savings account and it grew. It compounded. It was a vehicle for wealth. Now look at your screen again. Look at the interest rate on your savings account. Now look at the real rate of inflation, not the government number, but the actual cost of the things you need to survive. Food, energy, housing, insurance. Every day you leave your money in that bank account, it dies a little bit. It buys less today than it did yesterday. You are not saving. You are bleeding slowly. You are being punished for being responsible. But you don't want to admit this. Because if you admit that the rules are broken, you have to admit that your father was wrong. You have to admit that the path you've been walking for the last decade was a dead end. So you close the laptop. You turn off the phone. You tell yourself you just need to grind harder. You just need a side hustle. You just need to cut back on the lattes. You gaslight yourself into believing that the failure is yours. You think, if I was just smarter, if I was just more disciplined, I would be ahead. Wrong. You could be the most disciplined person on earth, and you would still be losing this game. Because the game is rigged against the very virtues you were taught to hold dear. You are playing Monopoly, but the banker is stealing $200 from you every time you pass go, and the price of Boardwalk doubles every 3 turns. And you're sitting there, moving your little thimble, wondering why you can't afford a hotel. It's not you. It's the lie. You feel it when you go to the grocery store. You walk out with 2 plastic bags that are light enough to carry with your pinky fingers, and the receipt says $85. You stop in the parking lot and check the receipt. You actually read the lines, looking for the mistake. Did they charge me twice for the chicken? No, they didn't. That feeling in your gut, that distinct drop in your stomach, that is the visceral realization that your labor is being devalued in real time. The hours of your life you traded for that money are worth less now. Someone stole your time, and they didn't even have to touch you to do it. And yet the lie persists. You go to family dinner. You sit across from the older generation. They ask how work is. They ask when you're going to buy a place. They ask why you haven't settled down yet. In my day, they say, I was making $30,000 and I managed to buy a house and raise 3 kids. You just need to prioritize. And you smile. You nod. You bite your tongue until it tastes like copper. Because if you told them the truth, that their house makes more money than you do, that your good salary qualifies you for a mortgage on a cardboard box, that the social contract is broken, they would look at you like you were crazy. They would call you lazy. They would call you entitled. They cannot see the water you are drowning in because they have lived their entire lives on dry land. But you feel the water filling your lungs. You feel the panic rising. You are doing everything right, and you are losing. This is the uncomfortable truth we are going to explore. We aren't going to talk about budgeting tips or couponing. We are going to rip apart the psychological conditioning that keeps you poor. We are going to look at why you were trained to be an employee in a world that punishes employees. We are going to look at why you were taught to save in a currency that is designed to fail. The lie is comfortable. The lie feels safe. The lie tells you that if you just obey, you will be rewarded. But look at your bank account one more time. Look at the reality staring back at you. Obedience is not being rewarded. Obedience is being harvested. You have been running a race with a map that leads to nowhere. And until you burn that map, until you stop listening to the ghost of an economy that died 30 years ago, you will keep running until you collapse. The wound is open. Now, let's look at the infection. You are sitting in a glass-walled conference room. It's time for your annual performance review. You have a folder in front of you. Inside, you have listed every win, every late night, every crisis you averted. You are prepared to make your case. Your manager walks in. They look tired. They start with the compliments. You're a rock star. You're essential to the team. You really stepped up this year. You feel a flush of pride. This is it. This is the moment the system rewards you for your obedience. The machinery is working. Then comes the number. We fought hard for this, they say, sliding a piece of paper across the table. We got you a 3.5% increase. They smile like they just handed you the keys to a Ferrari. You do the math in your head instantly. Inflation is running at 7%. Your rent went up 10% last month. Your grocery bill is up 20%. Technically, you just got a pay cut. You are working harder, producing more, and carrying more stress, and in exchange, you are being paid less purchasing power than you were a year ago. But look at what you do next. Watch yourself in the third person. Do you stand up? Do you say, this is insulting? Do you threaten to leave? No, you smile. You say, thank you. You say, I really appreciate it. Why? Why do you thank the person robbing you? Because you were trained to be a good boy. You were trained to be a good girl. The generational lie your father told you wasn't just about money. It was about authority. He taught you that the path to safety was compliance. Be polite. Don't burn bridges. Be grateful you have a job at all, so you take the pay cut. You go back to your desk. You put your headphones on. And you work harder, hoping that next year, if you just give a little more of your soul, the machine will finally love you back. It won't. Flashback to 10 years ago. You are 18. You are sitting at a heavy oak table in a bank or a financial aid office. There is a stack of papers in front of you. You are about to sign your name to a loan that is worth more than your parents' first house. You hesitate. It's a terrifying amount of money. You look at the adults in the room. Your parents, the loan officer, the guidance counselor. They are all nodding. They are all smiling. It's good debt, they tell you. It's an investment in your future. It's the only way to get ahead. So you sign. You sign away your freedom before you've even tasted it. You accept the shackle because you trust the people holding the chain. Cut back to today. You are looking at your student loan balance. You have been paying for years. You have sent them thousands of dollars, and the principal balance has barely moved. You aren't paying off a debt. You are paying a tax on your obedience. You did exactly what society told you to do. You got the degree. You got the credentials. You checked the box. And what did it get you? It got you a seat at the table where the entry fee is your entire financial future. You bought a ticket to the middle class, but by the time you arrived, the middle class had been cancelled. The generational lie told you that education was the great equalizer. In reality, for your generation, it became the great paralyzer. It forces you to take the safe corporate job because you can't afford the risk of starting a business. You can't afford to take a gap year. You can't afford to breathe. The debt decides your life for you. Now, look at your car. It's 5 years old. It runs fine. But your coworker, the one who does half the work you do but somehow plays the politics better, just bought a brand new SUV, you feel a twinge of judgment. That's irresponsible, you think. I'm driving my paid-off car. I'm being smart. I'm being frugal. You wear your frugality like a badge of honor. You deny yourself the $6 coffee. You skip the concert. You pride yourself on how little you consume. But here is the dark pattern you are missing. You are trying to budget your way out of a structural problem. You are using 1980s tactics to fight a 2020s war. Your father could save money by cutting coupons because his biggest expense, housing, was 20% of his income. Your housing is 45% of yours. No amount of skipped coffees will bridge that mathematical chasm, but the lie persists. It tells you that your financial struggle is a moral failing. If you are broke, it's because you spend too much. If you can't buy a house, it's because you buy avocado toast. This is gaslighting on a global scale. It shifts the blame from the broken system to the individual victim, and you swallow it. You internalize it. You beat yourself up for buying a sandwich because you've been brainwashed to believe that your poverty is a result of your appetite, not the result of a rigged currency. You are trapped in a cycle of obedient failure. You follow the rules, right arrow, you lose ground, right arrow, you blame yourself, right arrow, you double down on the rules. It's a feedback loop from hell. You are digging a hole, and when you realize you're getting deeper, the voice in your head says, dig faster. You are waiting for the moment when the adults come back into the room and say, okay, you passed the test. Here is your reward. But there are no adults. There is just the algorithm. There is just the market, and neither of them cares about your sacrifice. You think your loyalty to the system protects you. You think playing by the rules buys you safety. Pause. Look at the layoffs in the news. Look at the people who gave 20 years to a company, missed their kids' birthdays, worked weekends, and were fired via a generic email on a Tuesday morning. Did their obedience save them? Did their good debt save them? Did their frugality save them? No. The pattern is undeniable once you stop looking away. The system does not reward the obedient sheep. It shears them. And then, when they have nothing left to give, it slaughters them. You have been shearing yourself for years, handing the wool over with a smile, waiting for a thank you that is never coming. You have a friend. Let's call him Dave. Dave is a mess. Dave didn't study as hard as you. Dave didn't get the safe degree. Dave changes jobs every 18 months. Dave bought a house he definitely couldn't afford 5 years ago with a minimal down payment he borrowed from a cousin. Dave drives a car that is too expensive. Dave has debt up to his eyeballs. By every metric your father taught you, Dave is a disaster waiting to happen. Dave is reckless. Dave is irresponsible. But you look at Instagram today, Dave is on a boat in Greece. Dave just sold that house for double what he paid. Dave just got hired at a tech firm for a salary that makes yours look like a rounding error. And you are sitting in your sensible apartment with your sensible car, staring at your sensible bank account, and you are exhausted. This is the moment the bile rises in your throat. It feels like injustice. It feels like a glitch in the simulation. I did everything right, you scream internally. Why is the idiot winning? Here is the gut punch realization that you are trying desperately not to see. Dave isn't winning despite being reckless. Dave is winning because he is reckless. The world didn't just change while you were growing up. It inverted. The poles flipped. Up became down. Black became white. And the generational lie is that your father kept teaching you the rules of gravity while the world switched to 0G. Let's look at the safe path you were sold. Rule 1. Cash is king. Your father told you to save. He told you to hoard your acorns for winter. In an environment of monetary expansion, where governments print trillions of dollars out of thin air, holding cash is not safety. It is self-destruction. You are holding ice cubes in a sauna. You are trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. While you save $500, the currency is debased by 5%. You aren't swimming. You are treading water in a pool that is draining. Rule 2. Debt is bad. Your father lived in a world of high interest rates and hard money. To him, debt was a chain. But in the great inversion, debt is an asset. Why? Because you borrow money that is worth X today, and you pay it back 10 years later with money that is worth X minus 50%. Inflation eats the debt for you. Dave bought that house with the bank's money. The inflation that destroyed your savings account enriched his debt. He shorted the dollar. You went long. He won. You lost. Rule 3. Loyalty pays. Your father worked for the same company for 30 years. He got the gold watch. He got the pension. In the great inversion, the loyalty tax is real. Companies have calculated that it is cheaper to replace you than to retain you at market rate. The person who jumps ship every 2 years increases their lifetime earnings by 50% or more. The person who stays, the person who is loyal, subsidizes the mercenaries. You are paying for Dave's raise with your stagnation. You see it yet. You aren't just unlucky. You are structurally positioned to lose. You are playing chess. The system is playing rugby. You are sitting there analyzing your next pawn move, being very careful, very strategic, and the system just tackled you and broke your ribs. And the worst part, you feel morally superior while you lose. You look at the Daves of the world and you judge them. You tell yourself, well, at least I sleep well at night knowing I don't owe anyone money. Do you? You sleep well? Or do you stare at the ceiling at 3 a.m. wondering what happens if the car breaks down? Do you sleep well? Or do you feel the crushing weight of a future that is shrinking every day? The generational lie convinced you that financial martyrdom is a virtue. It taught you that suffering in silence is noble. It taught you that if you just keep your head down, someone will notice. Nobody is noticing. The system is an indifferent machine designed to transfer wealth from the patient to the aggressive, from the saver to the borrower, from the worker to the owner. You are the battery that powers the machine. Your responsibility provides the liquidity that allows the reckless to gamble. Your savings account, sitting there earning 0.01%, is being lent out to Dave so he can buy his second rental property. You are funding your own obsolescence. This is why it hurts so much. This is why you feel that deep, vibrating anger when you pay your bills. It's not just that things are expensive. It's that you realize you have been tricked. You were given a manual for a Toyota Camry. You studied it. You memorized it. You mastered it. Then you walked into the garage and realized you were trying to fly a helicopter. The buttons you are pushing, work hard, save, be loyal, aren't connected to the flight controls anymore. They are dummy buttons. They are toys for children. And while you sit there pushing them, feeling proud of how well you're pushing them, the ground is rushing up to meet you. The irresponsible people aren't crazy. They adapted. They realized the game was rigged, so they stopped playing by the rules on the box and started playing the game as it actually exists. You are still clutching the box, pointing at the rules, screaming that it isn't fair. The universe does not care about fair. The economy does not care about your feelings. It only cares about flow. And right now, your beliefs are flowing your energy, your time, and your wealth away from you and into the pockets of people who learned the truth before you did. You are the sucker at the poker table, and you're the only one who thinks you're playing Go Fish. You are angry at him. When he tells you to just pound the pavement or walk in and shake the manager's hand, you want to scream. You look at this man, your father, your mentor, and you wonder how he can be so blind. Is he stupid? Is he cruel? Does he enjoy watching you struggle? No, he is neither stupid nor cruel. He is suffering from a psychological blindness called survivorship bias. And it is one of the most dangerous drugs the human ego can consume. Imagine a man who walks through a minefield blindfolded. He steps left, then right, then forward. By sheer statistical probability and the grace of a booming post-war economy, he makes it to the other side without blowing his legs off. He takes off the blindfold, looks back at the field and says, "See, it's easy. You just have to walk with confidence. You just have to have a good stride." He genuinely believes his survival was due to his walking technique. He cannot see the minds. He cannot see the bodies of the men who stepped 3 inches to the left. He only sees the result. He made it. Therefore, his method works. Your father is the man on the other side of the minefield. He lived through a historical anomaly, a brief, golden window of time where wages were high, housing was cheap, and a single income could support a family of 4. He bought a house for $40,000 that is now worth $800,000. He didn't do that because he was a real estate genius. He did it because he was born in 1955. He rode an escalator up and thought he was climbing stairs. But here is the dark part. Here is where the psychology gets twisted. If he admits that you are struggling because the system is broken, he has to accept a terrifying corollary. He has to admit that his own success wasn't entirely his doing. This is called the just world hypothesis. The human brain craves order. We desperately want to believe that the world is fair. Good things happen to good people. Hard work yields results. Laziness yields poverty. If your father admits that you, a hard worker, a good person, are failing, it breaks his world. It introduces chaos. It suggests that the universe is random and cruel. So, to protect his own ego, to protect his narrative that he is a self-made man, he must believe that the problem is you. He has to look at your struggle and find a flaw in your character. You buy too much coffee. You don't have enough grit. You're too soft. He isn't attacking you because he hates you. He is attacking you to defend his own reality. If you are doing everything right and failing, then his success might just be luck. And that is a thought his ego cannot survive. So he gaslights you. He projects his anxiety onto you. He gives you advice that is actively harmful because to give you different advice would require him to dismantle his entire worldview. He tells you, loyalty pays off. Why? Because in 1980 it did. Pensions existed. Unions were strong. He tells you real estate never goes down. Why? Because for his entire adult life, it didn't. He is giving you directions to a city that burned down 20 years ago. And you are the victim of his psychological defense mechanism. You stand there, holding your bank statement, trying to explain the math, and he waves his hand. Figures lie, he says. You just need to buckle down. It makes you feel crazy. You start to doubt your own reality. You think, maybe he's right, maybe I am just complaining. Stop. You are not crazy. You are talking to a man who is watching a different movie. He is watching a documentary about the American dream. You are living in a horror film about late-stage capitalism. He literally lacks the neural pathways to understand your reality because he never had to build them. He never had to choose between rent and health insurance. He never had to compete with a global workforce for a local wage. This is the tragedy of the generational divide. It is not a difference of opinion. It is a difference of species. He is a creature of the summer. You are a creature of the winter. And he is standing there in his shorts, yelling at you for shivering, telling you that the cold is all in your head. You cannot make him see. You cannot force him to understand. And the more you try, the more he will dig in because his identity depends on the lie. You have to forgive him for his blindness, but you must stop following his cane. He is tapping his way toward a cliff edge that wasn't there when he was your age. If you hold his hand, if you follow his voice, you will fall. He loves you. But his advice is lethal. You wake up. It is Monday morning. The alarm on your phone goes off, and for a split second, that tiny, blissful moment between sleep and consciousness, you are free. Then reality crashes in. The weight settles on your chest. The dread, the schedule, the commute, the person you have to pretend to be for the next 9 hours. You don't want to go. Every fiber of your biology is screaming no. But you get up, you shower, you put on the costume. You drive to the office or log into the Zoom call. You smile. Why? If you know the system is rigged, if you know the math doesn't work, if you know you are being exploited. Why do you keep participating? This is the part of the story where we stop looking at the external enemy and start looking at the collaborator in the mirror. You are not just a victim of the generational lie. You are addicted to it. The lie provides you with something more valuable than money. It provides you with the illusion of certainty. There is a concept in psychology called learned helplessness. But let's go darker. Let's talk about institutionalization. It's what happens to prisoners who have been incarcerated for so long that they fear the outside world more than they fear their cell. Inside, they know the rules. Inside, they get fed. Inside, they know who they are. Outside is chaos. Outside is the wilderness. You have been institutionalized by the steady paycheck, that direct deposit that hits your account every 2 weeks. It is not just money. It is an anesthetic. It numbs the panic. It allows you to turn off your survival instinct. It tells you, you survive for another 14 days. You have become a zoo animal. You might have the teeth of a lion and the claws of a predator, but you have forgotten how to hunt. You wait for the zookeeper to throw the meat over the fence. And because you have forgotten how to hunt, the idea of the gate opening terrifies you. Think about the last time you had an idea. Maybe it was a business idea. Maybe it was a new way to make money. Maybe it was just the thought of quitting and figuring it out. What was the very next thought that entered your head? What if it fails? I don't have the capital. I have bills to pay. I need the health insurance. You listed the reasons why you couldn't do it. You built a wall of no before you even laid the first brick of yes. Who sounded like that? Who does that voice remind you of? It's your father. You have internalized the generational lie so deeply that you now police yourself. The system doesn't need to put bars on your window. You put them there yourself. You tell yourself that staying in a job that pays you less than inflation is safe. and that trying to build your own equity is risky. Pause and look at that logic. Option A, the safe path. You rely on a single source of income, controlled by a corporation that views you as a line item on a spreadsheet in an economy where your currency is being debased by 7 to 10% a year. If that one boss decides to cut costs, your income goes to zero instantly. Option B, the risky path. You diversify, you build skills, you sell directly to the market. You fail, you learn, you try again. Mathematically, option A is terrifying. Option A is walking a tightrope without a net. But psychologically, option A feels like a warm blanket. Because in option A, if you fail, you can say, "It wasn't my fault. I did what I was supposed to do. The company laid me off." You get to be the innocent victim. In option B, if you fail, it is your fault. You are the idiot who tried to fly and crashed. And that is what keeps you in the cage. It is the fear of culpability. You would rather slowly bleed to death in the comfort of the known than risk a sudden death in the pursuit of the unknown. You choose the slow misery of the commute over the sharp terror of freedom. The generational lie told you that the world is a dangerous place and that the corporation is your shelter. Get a good job with benefits. That phrase is a spell. It binds you. It convinces you that you are incapable of surviving without a master. It convinces you that your value comes from your title, not your output. So you stay. You complain to your friends over drinks. You post angry memes about capitalism. You nod along to videos like this. But tomorrow morning, you will set the alarm. You will drive to the office. You will say yes, sir, and no, sir, and thank you for the 3% raise, sir. You are the one holding the key. The door isn't locked. The guard is asleep, but you are sitting on the cot, staring at the open door, shaking. Because out there is no script. Out there is no guarantee, and deep down, you suspect that maybe your father was right about one thing. Maybe you aren't strong enough to make it on your own. That doubt. That is the bars of the cage. And until you break that doubt, you will remain a voluntary prisoner of a system that hates you. Open your banking app again. Look at the number in your savings account. That number represents hours of your life. It represents mornings you woke up tired, weekends you missed, stress you endured. You traded your limited time on this earth for that number. Your father taught you that this number is a store of value. He taught you that saving is the act of preserving your energy for the future. Save for a rainy day, he said. Here is the dark truth. You are storing your life force in a bucket with a hole in the bottom. This isn't about inflation, prices going up. That is the symptom. The disease is currency debasement. The money itself is breaking. Imagine you are at a party. There is a punch bowl. The punch is delicious. It's potent. It has value. That punch is the money supply. You have a cup of it. You worked hard for that cup. You are saving it to drink later. But while you are standing there, holding your cup, the host, the central bank, walks in with a giant bucket of water and pours it into the punch bowl. They didn't add more ingredients. They just added volume. Suddenly, the punch in the bowl is weaker. But here is the horror part. The punch in your cup just got weaker too. Even though you were holding it tight, even though you didn't touch it, the value of what you held was diluted by what they did at the source. This is what happened to you in 2020. This is what happened in 2008. The government printed trillions of dollars. They flooded the system. And in doing so, they stole value from every single dollar you had managed to scrape together. Your father doesn't understand this. In his day, you could put money in a CD, certificate of deposit, and get 12% interest. The bank actually paid you to keep your money still. The interest rate was higher than the inflation rate. He could literally save his way to wealth. Today, the bank pays you 0.5% or maybe 4% if you're lucky. but the cost of living is rising at 7%, 10%, or 15%. Do the math. Interest, plus 4% inflation, minus 10% result, minus 6% every year you leave your money in that safe account, you lose 6% of your purchasing power. If you have $10,000 saved, the bank didn't take $600 from you. The government took $600 worth of buying power out of your pockets silently, invisibly, without ever sending you a bill. This is the silent theft. It is the most sophisticated form of slavery ever invented because the slave doesn't even know they are being robbed. You feel poorer, but you have the same amount of dollars. You look at the number, $10,000, and it looks the same. But it buys less food, it buys less housing, it buys less freedom. You blame the grocery store, you blame the gas station, you blame corporate greed. You are blaming the thermometer for the fever. The reality is that your measuring stick is shrinking, and because your father told you that cash is king, you are hoarding the one asset that is guaranteed to lose value. You are the squirrel gathering nuts, not realizing that the nuts are rotting from the inside out. Meanwhile, the wealthy, the ones who understand the game, do not hold cash. They hold assets, real estate, stocks, gold, Bitcoin, businesses. Why? Because when the government pours water into the punch bowl, the price of the assets rises to match the new volume of liquid. The house doesn't get more valuable. The dollars used to buy it get weaker, so it takes more of them to buy the house. The rich get richer because they own things that float on the flood. You get poorer because you are holding the water that is drowning you. This is why the gap between you and the life you want feels like it is widening every day. It is widening. You are running on a treadmill where the floor is moving backwards at 10 miles per hour. Your father is shouting from the sidelines, "Just run. Save your energy." If you stop running, you fall off. If you keep running, you stay in the same place. The only way to win is to get off the treadmill. You have to stop viewing savings as a virtue. In a high-inflation environment, saving in fiat currency is an act of financial suicide. It is the behavior of a victim. You need to convert your labor into something that cannot be printed. You need to own things, not currency. But that requires risk. That requires education. That requires ignoring the voice in your head that says, "Put it in the bank where it's safe." The bank is not a vault. It is a crime scene. And you are the victim who keeps returning to the scene of the crime, handing the robber your wallet and thanking him for keeping it safe. You are sitting in the break room, or maybe you're on a Slack call. It's a normal Tuesday. Then, by accident, maybe a forwarded email chain, maybe a slip of the tongue after a few drinks at happy hour, you find out. The new guy. The one you spent the last 3 weeks training. The one who doesn't know how to use the proprietary software. The one who asks you basic questions that make you wonder how he passed the interview. He is making $25,000 more than you. The room spins. The air leaves your lungs. You have been here for 5 years. You know where the files are stored. You know the client's dog's name. You stayed late when the server crashed in 2019. You are the backbone of this department, and this person who just walked in off the street is valued significantly higher than you are. This is the moment the loyalty tax hits you in the face. Your father told you, find a good company. Stick with them. Work your way up. Loyalty is rewarded. He told you that because, once upon a time, it was true, companies used to view employees as long-term assets to be developed. There were pensions. There was a social contract. That contract has been shredded, burned, and the ashes have been pissed on. In the modern corporate structure, there are 2 buckets of money. Bucket A, retention budget. This is tiny. This is 3% raises. This is cost of living adjustments that don't cover the cost of living. Bucket B, acquisition budget. This is massive. This is market rate. This is whatever it takes to get talent in the door. When you stay at a company for more than 2 years, you are moved into bucket A. You are a captured asset. They know you are afraid to leave. They know you have friends there. They know you are comfortable, so they squeeze you. They give you the 3% raise while the market rate for your job title jumped 20%. Every year you stay, the gap between what you are paid and what you are worth widens. This is the loyalty tax. Data shows that employees who stay at a company longer than 2 years earn 50% less over their lifetime than those who switch jobs. 50%. Think about that number. By following your father's advice to be loyal, you are voluntarily cutting your lifetime earnings in half. You are taking millions of dollars off your own table and handing it to shareholders who don't know your name. But the psychological manipulation goes deeper. When you go to your boss to ask for a raise, to match what the new guy is making, what do they say? We don't have the budget right now. We're a family here. We're doing a pizza party on Friday. We're a family. That is the most toxic phrase in the corporate dictionary. Families don't fire you because the Q3 earnings missed by a penny. Families don't lay off the children to boost the stock price for the parents. They use the language of intimacy to exploit you. They weaponize your human need for connection to extract labor at a discount. They know that if they call it a family, you will feel guilty for leaving. You will feel like you are betraying them, so you stay. You swallow the resentment. You train the new guy who makes more than you. You do the work of 2 people for the price of 0.8 people, and your father's voice echoes. Don't be a job hopper. It looks bad on a resume. Wrong. In the 1980s, a resume with 5 jobs in 10 years looked unstable. Today, a resume with 1 job for 10 years looks stagnant. It looks like you have no ambition. It looks like you fell asleep at the wheel. The market rewards the mercenary. The market punishes the martyr. The new guy isn't smarter than you. He isn't harder working than you. He simply understood the game. He realized that the only time you have leverage is before you sign the offer letter. Once you sign, your leverage drops to 0. He treated himself like a business. You treated yourself like a servant. You are waiting for the company to love you back. You are waiting for them to notice your sacrifice and hand you a bag of money out of pure gratitude. They won't. To them, your loyalty is not a virtue. It is a cost-saving measure. Every day you stay without a market adjustment raise, you are subsidizing their profit margin. You are a line item that is getting cheaper and cheaper relative to the value you produce. You are being gaslit into poverty by the very people you are loyal to. The generational lie said, build a career here. The reality says, you are a mercenary in a war for talent. Act like one, or die on the battlefield. The pizza party is not a reward. It is a distraction. And while you are eating that slice of cold pepperoni, the new guy is negotiating his next jump. We need to talk about the difference between income and wealth. Because right now, you are chasing one while the system is designed to strip you of the other. Your father taught you to chase a high income. Become a doctor. Become a lawyer. Get that 6-figure salary. He taught you that the path to riches is a high W-2 wage. Let's look at the math of a high earner today. You make $150,000 a year. Congratulations. You are in the top percentage of earners. Now watch it disappear. Federal tax, gone. State tax, gone. FICA, gone. Health insurance, gone. You are left with maybe $95,000 net. Now you live in a city where jobs pay $150,000, which means rent is $3,500 a month. Rent, $42,000 gone. Student loans, to get the degree to get the job, $12,000 gone. Car/transport, $8,000 gone. Food/life, $15,000 gone. What is left? Maybe $18,000, maybe $20,000. You are running a business, you Inc., that generates $150,000 in revenue but has a 12% profit margin. You are not rich. You are a high-flow conduit for money. The money flows through you, not to you. It touches your hands just long enough to get taxed, then it flows immediately to the landlord, the bank, and the grocery conglomerate. This is the asset chasm. The wealthy, the people your father thinks you are emulating, do not live on income. They live on capital gains. This is the dark secret of the tax code. If you work for money, labor, you are taxed at the highest possible rate. If your money works for money, capital, you are taxed at a lower rate. Why? Because the people who write the laws don't work for wages. They own assets. Your father didn't understand this distinction because in his day, the gap wasn't this wide. He could bridge the gap with hard work. He could work overtime and actually get ahead. Today, there is an invisible barrier called the Cantillon effect. This is technical, but stick with me. It explains why you feel like you're drowning. When the government prints new money, it doesn't sprinkle it evenly over the population like rain. It injects it into the top of the system, into the big banks and financial institutions. The people closest to the injection point, the rich, get the money first. They use it to buy assets, houses, stocks before the prices go up. By the time that money trickles down to you in the form of your $150,000 salary, the prices of the assets have already doubled. You are getting the money last. You are buying the assets after the inflation has hit. You are the bag holder. This is why a house earns more than a human. If you bought a house for $500,000 in 2020, and it is now worth $750,000, that house earned $250,000 in 3 years. It did no work. It paid no taxes on that gain until sold. It required no degree. Meanwhile, you worked 6,000 hours to earn that same amount, and the government took 35% of it. This is the rigged game. Labor is taxed and devalued. Assets are subsidized and inflated. Your father told you to be a laborer. Even a high-paid laborer is still a laborer. You are still trading time for money in a system designed to crush the value of time. To cross the asset chasm, you have to stop identifying as a worker and start identifying as an owner. This doesn't mean you quit your job tomorrow. It means you change your goal. The goal is not get a raise. The raise is a trap. The raise just moves you into a higher tax bracket and convinces you to buy a more expensive car. The goal is asset acquisition. Every dollar you earn is a soldier. If you send that soldier to buy a latte, he dies. If you send that soldier to pay rent, he dies. If you send that soldier to buy a share of a company or a piece of real estate or a fraction of a Bitcoin, he lives. He sets up camp and he starts working for you. The rich aren't smarter. They just have an army of dollars fighting the war for them while they sleep. You are out there on the battlefield alone, with a sword, fighting against tanks, thinking that if you just swing harder, you'll win. You won't. The generational lie convinced you that the career is the asset. I am a senior VP. No, your career is a subscription service to income. If you stop paying the subscription, stop working, the income turns off. An asset pays you even if you are in a coma. Until you understand this difference, until you stop chasing the high score of salary and start chasing the high score of ownership, you will remain on the wrong side of the chasm. You will be a high-paid peasant in a kingdom owned by people who haven't looked at a pay stub in years. We have spent the last few minutes tearing down the system. We have exposed the inflation, the rigged housing market, the corporate lies, and the psychological blindness of the older generation. And right now, you are feeling good. You are feeling validated. You are nodding your head, thinking, yes, exactly, it's not my fault. The game is rigged. Stop smiling. Because this is the part where we turn the mirror around. This is the part where we look at your role in this disaster. You know the game is rigged. You know the map is wrong. You have the data. You have the internet. You have access to more financial education in your pocket than your father had in his entire lifetime. So, why are you still playing by the old rules? Why are you still saving in fiat currency? Why are you still loyal to that company? Why are you still waiting? Here is the darkest truth of all, the one you won't say out loud at dinner, the one you barely whisper to yourself. You are using "the system is rigged" as an excuse to be lazy. It is psychologically comfortable to be a victim. If the economy is broken, if the baby boomers stole all the wealth, if the politicians are corrupt, then you don't have to try. You are absolved of responsibility. You can sit on your couch, doom scroll through TikToks about the housing crisis, and feel a righteous sense of indignation. I can't win, so I won't play. That is your new script, and it is far more dangerous than the one your father gave you. Your father was ignorant. You are complicit. He walked off a cliff because he was blindfolded. You are standing on the edge of the cliff, watching the rocks below, fully aware of the danger. And you are jumping anyway because you are too scared to build a bridge. Look at your spending habits. You say you can't afford a house. You say inflation is killing you, but you still buy the $1,200 phone. You still subscribe to 5 streaming services. You still order delivery because you are too tired to cook. This is called doom spending. The psychological logic goes like this. I'll never be able to afford the big things, house, retirement, so I might as well treat myself to the small things now. You are medicating your financial depression with consumerism. You are eating the seed corn because you don't believe there will be a harvest. And deeper down, you are waiting for a savior. Maybe you are waiting for the market to crash. You talk about it with your friends. When the bubble pops, then I'll buy. You are betting on the suffering of others to save you. You are hoping for a calamity so you can finally enter the game. Spoiler: when the crash comes, the banks stop lending. You won't be able to buy then either. The rich will buy the wreckage with cash. You will just be unemployed. Or maybe, and this is the ugliest thought in your head, you are waiting for the great wealth transfer. You are looking at your parents' house. You are looking at their retirement account. You are doing the math on their mortality. When they pass, you think, then I'll be okay. You are structurally relying on the death of the people who raised you to solve the problems you refuse to face. You have turned your inheritance into your retirement plan. That is the depth of your paralysis. You criticize your father for his blind obedience, but at least he was moving. At least he was building something, even if the foundation was flawed. You are standing still. You are an observer of your own decline. You know that saving in cash is losing, yet your money sits in a checking account. You know that skills are the only hedge against AI and outsourcing. Yet you haven't read a book or taken a course in a year. You know that you need to own assets. Yet you haven't bought a single share of anything. Why? Because action requires risk. Action requires the possibility of failure that is your fault. If you buy Bitcoin and it crashes, you were stupid. If you start a side business and it fails, you weren't good enough. But if you stay poor because capitalism is broken, you get to keep your ego intact. You get to be the smart, cynical martyr who saw through the lies but was powerless to stop them. You aren't powerless. You are cowardly. The generational lie didn't just trick you. It broke your spirit. It convinced you that if the designated path is blocked, there is no other way through the woods. You are waiting for permission to succeed. You are waiting for an authority figure, a politician, a boss, a parent, to come fix the money, lower the prices, and invite you to the table. They aren't coming. The rescue party has been called off. The helicopter isn't landing. You are alone in the woods. It is getting dark, and you are sitting on a stump, complaining that the map is outdated while the wolves are circling. You have two choices. You can keep clutching that map, crying about how unfair your father was for giving it to you. Or you can throw it in the fire, use the light to see where you actually are, and start carving your own path. But do not dare say you didn't know. You know, you just don't want to do the work. This is the end of the line. We are done analyzing. We are done complaining. We are done dissecting the past. You are standing at a fork in the road. It is a binary choice. There is no middle ground. There is no "I'll think about it." By not choosing, you are choosing. Let's look at your two futures. Future A, the permanent child you keep the map your father gave you. You stay in the safe job because you need the health insurance. You keep your money in the savings account because the stock market feels scary. You keep waiting for housing prices to come down. Fast forward 20 years, you are 50 years old. You are still renting, but now your rent is $8,000 a month. You are still working, but you are tired. Your back hurts. Your eyes are straining. You are terrified of your email inbox because every message might be the layoff notice that ends your life. You have become bitter. You spend your evenings on the internet, raging against the machine, posting about how the system failed you. You hate the rich. You hate the government. You hate your parents for dying and not leaving you enough. You are a serf. You are a well-dressed, smartphone-owning peasant in a digital feudalism. You did everything you were told, and your reward is a life of quiet, desperate obedience. That is the default setting. That is where the current of the river takes you if you just float. Future B, the sovereign owner, you burn the map. You accept, right now, that no one is coming to save you. You accept that the government will continue to debase the currency. You accept that the corporation will never love you, and you change your strategy to match the terrain. 1. You kill the saver. You stop hoarding cash. You keep 3 months of expenses for emergencies, and every other cent you earn is immediately converted into a hard asset. You buy the S&P 500. You buy real estate. You buy Bitcoin. You buy things that cannot be printed. You stop storing your wealth in melting ice and start storing it in gold. 2. You kill the loyalist. You look at your job today. If you have been there more than 2 years and haven't received a market adjustment raise, you update your resume tonight. You treat your labor as a product, and you sell it to the highest bidder. You have no loyalty to a logo. You have loyalty to your own balance sheet. 3. You kill the employee. Even if you have a 9 to 5, you stop thinking like a worker. You start a side business. Not for extra cash, but for tax advantages, for ownership. You create something, a service, a product, a content stream that belongs to you. You decouple your income from your time. This path is terrifying. It requires you to read books you find boring. It requires you to take risks that make your stomach turn. It requires you to stand up to your father at Thanksgiving dinner and say, "No, Dad, that advice is wrong." It requires you to grow up. The generational lie was a bedtime story. It was a comforting fable about a world where good boys get cookies and bad boys get coal. That world is gone. We are in the jungle now. In the jungle, you do not get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate. You get what you build. You get what you own. Your father wasn't trying to hurt you. He was trying to protect you, but he prepared you for a game that ended in 1999. You can be angry at him. You can be angry at the banks. You can be angry at the politicians. But anger is not a strategy. Anger is just energy without direction. Take that anger, that burning, hot resentment you feel when you look at house prices, and channel it into the only thing that matters: asset accumulation. Stop trying to win the game of income. Start playing the game of equity. The door is open. The cage is unlocked. The guard is asleep. but your legs are numb from sitting in the same position for decades. It is going to hurt to stand up. It is going to hurt to walk. Stand up anyway. The lie ends the moment you decide to stop believing it. The truth is cold, but it is the only thing that will set you free. The map is yours to draw now. Pick up the pen.